The Rangers sweep the Rockies in dominant fashion. Corey Seager is back with a vengeance, and I think the Rangers have the best lineup in all of baseball. We're talking about all that and more on this episode of Locked On Rangers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked on to the Texas Rangers. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan since 2010, the founder and host for all 5 seasons of this Locked On Rangers podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Subscribe on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Today is Monday, May 8th. 22nd, not 18th, and your Rangers are 29-17, still alone atop the AL West with a 2-game lead. According to Fangraphs, they have a 71.7% chance to make the playoffs and a 65.3% chance per Baseball Reference, and Baseball Reference has jumped up their World Series odds from, I believe, around 0.8 or 0.9 to 3.2% chance to win the whole freaking thing. What a weekend for the Rangers. They win in blowout fashion on Sunday, get quality starts from their starting pitchers all throughout the weekend. Not technically quality for John Gray since he only went 5 innings, but quality in terms of just a good overall start for him against his former team. But you got to start with the offense, and the offense starts, well, technically it starts with Corey Seager, or with Marcus Semien, but right after that is Corey Seager in the 2-hole, and man, he was back with a vengeance this weekend. A pair of 3-hit games, a pair of home runs, 3 doubles, 7 for 13 with 3 doubles and a pair of homers in this series. He has 26 regular season home runs at Globe Life Field and now 33 total, including 7 in that postseason run with the Dodgers. He's absolutely incredible. Honestly, adding him back to this offense, which was already humming on all cylinders and was just unreally good, is not really fair to everyone else. But you know what? The Rangers don't care. The Rangers don't care if it's fair to anybody else. And they've also got a Mitch Garver coming on later on to probably take Robbie Grossman's slot in the lineup. And then the entire 1 through 9 is just honestly maybe the deepest that the Rangers have ever been. I mean, the hallmark of those 2010, 11, 15, and 16 teams that were making the playoffs were just an incredibly deep starting lineup. It was just everybody in that starting lineup was so incredibly talented, and it just did not drop off from 1 through 9. And that's what you can say about this Rangers offense. The Rangers got 3 hits from Corey Seager, 3 hits from Nathaniel Lowe in the final game of this one. They got a pair of walks from Adolis Garcia, a walk from Ezekiel Duran, who had 2 in this series. He had 1 unintentional walk in the whole year heading into this series, and he gets 2 in this one. I am celebrating every Ezekiel Duran like a massive, massive grand slam, because those are going to be better for his development and for the kind of pitches that he's going to get later on. And here he is, playing shortstop and hitting 8th for this Rangers lineup, and he's got an OPS of 874 and hitting a 308. It's just stupid. Honestly, it's just stupid. This offense is stupid good. It does not give up at all. They do incredibly well hitting in clutch situations, 5 for 12 with runners in scoring position in the finale of this one. They still have the best batting average with runners in scoring position as a team, and the guys at the top of the lineup are also incredibly good with runners in scoring position, and you're seeing a lot of RBIs from guys like Marcus Semien and Corey Seager and whoever's hitting in the 2-hole when he was not there, because the bottom of the lineup is getting on base at a good clip. Ezekiel Duran hitting over 300, Leody Taveras up to 296 with his average, and with your 8 and 9-hole guys are getting on and getting into scoring position. Even Robbie Grossman has done a pretty decent job of getting on base this year in the 7-hole, which is probably where he's going to stick for a little while. I mean, you give opportunities to your best guys in the clutch, and they come up with those big hits and are able to drive in runs. Marcus Semien has done very, very well with runners in scoring position this year. scrolling down. Where we go with the bases loaded? He's hitting, batting 1,000 with runners in scoring position. He's hitting .511 and slugging .733, a 1262 OPS. That is your leadoff guy who is that good in clutch situations. Corey Seager has been good in basically every situation this year. I mean, his overall line at this point just looks honestly insane. He's got a 1127 OPS, hitting .382 with an on base of .455, 3 home runs, 7 doubles in just 15 games this year. This is the guy that you go out and you spend $325 million on every single time. I don't know why everyone overthought it. I guess the injuries, and is he really going to stick at shortstop? Who cares? Who cares if he sticks at shortstop at this point? Honestly, Ezekiel Duran is probably the better overall defender at shortstop than Corey Seager. But when you got a guy with an over 1,100 OPS, his career OPS is, 850 something, I think, at this point. And it's just, and that guy is playing shortstop, or maybe he'll move to third, or maybe he'll move to first base at some. I don't even know. That's how good his offense is. And adding him back into a lineup of a team that was already winning so many games is just unbelievable. Like, it's just unbelievable. The Rangers scored double-digit runs twice this weekend. It feels like they've scored double-digit runs in nearly a quarter of their games. It's just unbelievable how incredibly talented this offense is, and it's just top to bottom. Whenever someone is struggling, someone else picks it up. I mean, the number 3 hole hitter, Nathaniel Lowe, only has 5 home runs at this point, and he's been getting into it the last couple of games. The last 15 games, he still only has 1 home run in that span, but he's hitting .328 with an on base of .397 and slugging .492, because the boy has been getting a lot of doubles. He's not been hitting the ball over the fence. I think that will come. He's got 15 doubles, which leads the team right now, and an .808 OPS as your 3-hole hitter. Not quite as great a season as Adolis Garcia is because he doesn't have 14 home runs like Adolis Garcia, although nobody in the American League has 14 home runs like Adolis Garcia does. So the top 4 of this lineup is incredibly strong, and Josh Jung is starting to pull out of his slump as well. He's got a 5-game hitting streak going, and in his last 7 games, he is hitting .308 with an on-base of 400, even 400, and slugging .462, including the home run, which was his first since much, much earlier in the month, I believe. Yeah, the multi-home run game on May 3rd was the last time he had homered, which was a lot of games in between him homering, which is not something that I think will be the case. He's got 9 home runs on the season, getting back into that Rookie of the Year category. The old Boston DH / outfielder they signed from Japan, whose name I can't think of right now, is probably got a slight edge over Josh Jung. But I think that him getting out of that slump, taking a day off against Spencer Strider, even though it was on Texas Tech Day on his bobblehead night, it was definitely good for him. I think we'll start to see him hitting a few more balls over the fence, just like Nathaniel Lowe. But the depth of this offense is incredibly good. They have the most runs scored in all of baseball, more than the Rays, who have played, I believe, 2 or 3 more games than the Rangers at this point. And this is how you cover up a bad bullpen. You cover it up by just scoring 10 runs a game, 7 runs every game, and having decent starting pitching, which this was a pretty solid weekend of starting pitching. And it seems like the Cody Bradford sacrificial offering to the Braves to give the starters an extra day rest seems to have worked out in the Rangers' favor because that starting pitching has done so well. But this is how you do well in the regular season. Eventually, the Rangers will most definitely have to address their bullpen. There were a couple of outings this weekend from bullpen arms that made me shiver and worry, even though they were in blowout games. But still, this is how you get by in the regular season. The Rangers have won 3 straight. They have kept the Astros at bay, who are surging, and unfortunately have Jose Altuve back. Not unfortunate that he's not hurt. It's just unfortunate that the Astros are going to get better and probably start to take off. And of course, he comes back when they have a stretch of 6 games out of their next 9, where they have against the A's. They just swept them. But the Rangers swept the Rockies, and they go into Pittsburgh against a team that is struggling better than they expected at the beginning of the year, but still struggling, and a really important road trip to finish out this month of May. Coming up, we're going to look at the starting pitching, what they did this weekend, and a really impressive outing from Jon Gray, who and a couple other guys who kind of needed some strong starts. But first, this episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors with eBay Guaranteed Fit so you can be sure every part you need fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop at eBay Motors. And with over 122 million different parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, when the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every day. On tomorrow's show, I'll compare this rotation to previous playoff rotations. The Rangers take on the Pirates this week and catch every pitch with the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, the Rangers got some quality starting pitching this weekend, starting with a really, really nice performance for Martin Perez. 7 innings, 2 runs allowed. Both of them were earned. No walks and 7 strikeouts in the win on Friday. This was the closest game of the series, a 7-2 win. The offense only managed 7 runs. Only managed 7 runs. Man, remember when 7 runs meant you got to get half off pizza back in the day? I wish the Rangers were still doing that, because there would be a lot of pizzas ordered and a lot of cheap pizzas ordered with how consistently this offense is scoring at least 7 runs. They might need to make it like 12 or something if they did it this year. But Martin Perez coming off a couple of rough outings against Oakland and against the Angels on that road trip. Those were tough outings for him. He got a couple extra days rest. He went 7 innings, and the longest start of the season and his best start of the season. He was getting probably some favorable calls, a little bit more favorable than he had gotten before this season. But this was a really, really great start. It was either between this or the start in Cincinnati, where he went 6 1/3 innings without allowing an earned run, or the 6 innings where he allowed just 1 run against the Yankees. But I still think that this was his best start of the season, going 7 innings, keeping the bullpen out of it after a rough week, 2 weeks, month, however long it's been for the bullpen. This is how you stop losing games because of your bullpen. You have your starters go deep into games, and you have your offense score a crap ton of runs, so you're not putting your guys in high leverage situations where they inevitably don't do super well. He brought his ERA down to 4.01 on the season, and he just really, really needed this. It had been a while since he had gone 7 innings in a start. It felt like he did that very, very consistently last year. That was one of the things that I really loved about Martin Perez last year, is that he would go deep into games, and this year it has not as much been the case with him. But it's fine, it happens, and he's been the Rangers' number 3 starter this year, kind of the 5th best starter. It's between him and Heaney who has been the actually 5th or 6th best starter, because Dane Dunning has been kind of wildly better than both of those guys. But still, he did enough, and he's been consistent. He's kept the Rangers in games. There's been very few that he just basically left the Rangers out of it. Even in that game on May 7th against the Angels, where he got completely lit up, went 3 2/3 innings and allowed 7 runs. I believe that was the game that the bullpen ended up blowing, because that was the game that the Rangers won 16-8, and it didn't end up mattering. You would have liked him to go a little bit deeper in that one, but the Rangers haven't ever really been out of a game just because of Martin Perez. So seeing him bounce back was really, really important. Who also had another strong start, continues his strong stretch in May, was Jon Gray. He only went 5 innings, did allow 1 run, a pair of walks, 6 strikeouts for him in this one. Would have liked to see him go just a little bit deeper in this one, but he really had some struggles early on in this one. I think it was definitely an emotional game facing his former team. I mean, it's the first time that he had ever faced them. They drafted him, they developed him. He spent his entire major league career with them until he signed with the Rangers, after for some reason they didn't give him the qualifying offer, which again, in hindsight, makes no sense. At the time, made no sense. Beforehand, made absolutely no sense. The Rangers got to just sign Jon Gray, and the Rockies got nothing. But he continues a strong stretch, 1 or fewer earned runs in his last 3 starts, 7 innings with a 1-run ball against Seattle, 8 innings of shutout ball against Oakland, and then 5 innings and 1 run against the Colorado Rockies. He has his season ERA down to just 3.02 on the year. And I think he's probably the third best starter in this Rangers rotation. If I was going with the playoff rotation, I think I'd probably put Jon Gray in game 3, and then either Martin Perez or Andrew Heaney in game 4, and then relegate one of the other guys to the bullpen. I think I might lean towards Perez because of consistency, but I don't know at this point. But Jon Gray also worked out of a bases loaded no outs jam, which is what Andrew Heaney has done twice in a week now. The Rangers have done that 3 different times in the span of a week, and Andrew Heaney has 2 of those. Jon Gray has 1 of those. Was able to work out of trouble when it was still a close game, and the Rangers offense was able to pick him up and get some runs and score in double digits in this one. Basically take the game completely out of question. I mean, 6 for 12 with runners in scoring position when the Rangers dropped 11 runs in this Saturday game, and it's just a sign of how consistent this Rangers offense is. It doesn't matter who they're facing. They were facing off against a really good starting pitcher in Kyle Freeland, but they drove him out of the game. He only went 2 innings. Kyle Freeland allowed 5 earned runs, or 8 runs, 5 of which were earned. Didn't strike anybody out, didn't walk anybody, but the Rangers just kept getting hits on him. 9 hits on him in 2 innings of work. They got really deep into this bullpen. They really got to the reliever Abad. They got him for 3 runs, all of which were earned, including a pair of home runs, one of which was by Corey Seager, who, again, is just unbelievably good. This Rangers offense got to the starters early and often in this one, and I feel bad for the Rockies because having to go this deep into your bullpen is just it's tough, and it's going to be tough for them on the series to come. I mean, the Rangers got Seabold out of the game before he could finish 4 innings in the finale, and Karasidi got hit for 6 earned runs in just 1 inning against the Rangers, who didn't even hit a single home run off him. That's how good this offense is. They are not the highest home run hitting offense. That is the Rays. That is more of the Orioles, but they are going to do it to you in big innings. They are going to drop 5 runs on you. They had a 5 or more run inning in every game this week. Actually, scratch that. They had 2 4-run innings in the Saturday game. No 5-run innings, but on Friday, that a 5-run inning in the 5th inning, and then a 6-run inning and a 5-run inning in the 2nd in the 5th and 2nd, respectively, in this Sunday game. So the Texas Rangers will just drop runs on you. It's like, oh, this is your inning. You're going to load the bases, and you are not going to come up empty. Unlike if you face off against the Rangers, Andrew Heaney has done this twice now, and I believe he did it the exact same way with a 1-2-3 double play on Sunday, and also a 1-2-3 double play on the Sunday before. This one was on a much less impressive play. He didn't barehand the ball and throw it to the catcher, but still was able to get out of it. And Heaney did that while it was still a scoreless game on Sunday. And then the Rangers, that was the top of the 2nd, and then the Rangers dropped 5 runs in the bottom of the 2nd. Think, okay, there you go. But Heaney continues his strong stretch. 6 innings, 1 unearned run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts for him. ERA on the season down to 4.13. And he puts up another quality start. The last 3 starts, he has gone at least 6 innings in all of them. And the only one where he allowed multiple earned runs was against Seattle. Went 6 2/3 innings there, allowed 3 earned runs, 7 strikeouts. Against Oakland, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks in each of these 3 starts, starting to get those walks trending down just a little bit, which is what I am looking for Andrew Heaney. But this is the guy who is your number 5 in your rotation. He's able to come and get you 6 innings, 1-run ball, and keep the Rockies out of it. Get you deep into the game so you don't have to use a whole lot of the bullpen, which again is very much in question. And even in these games where they are blowouts, like Saturday, Rangers bullpen gave up quite a few runs and made it a little less comfortable than you would have wanted it. 4 runs for the bullpen in the 8th and 9th innings on Saturday, but the Rangers had 11 runs at that point, and it just was not going to be close. But again, the importance of depth in your starting rotation cannot be overstated. Thankfully, the Rangers have kept these guys healthy, and the Cody Bradford start being sacrificed to the Wolves, getting absolutely annihilated, still going 5 innings, and getting lit up pretty heavily by the Braves on Monday is looking like a really, really great move. You've got to keep all of these guys healthy. Again, I'm still a little worried and on pins and needles, especially with Nathan Eovaldi throwing so many innings in his last few starts. Him getting some extra time is always good, and not having to pitch him every fifth day or every fifth game is definitely going to be a good thing for him in the long term. Same with Andrew Heaney, same with John Gray, and same with Martin Perez. Less concerned about the health, more just keeping him fresh and effective in all of those games. Coming up, we're going to look at Jacob deGrom. Got an update on him. Where are we on the deGrom scale? And a little bit of a look of what this rotation should look like once he comes back. But first, this episode is brought to you by SoRare. Our new sponsor, SoRare, is a revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace transforming fans into owners with officially licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB teams. Unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, SoRare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards. There is no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next-level competitions and rewards. SoRare recently partnered with MLB All-Stars Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez to serve as brand ambassadors. Both are featured in SoRare's current brand campaign, and will engage with the SoRare community throughout the season at MLB events. Head to SoRare.com/lockedon, that's spelled SORARE.com, to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's SoRare.com/lockedon to start playing today. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. Like I said earlier, the Rangers take on the Pirates this week and catch every pitch with the hometown broadcast on SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search Rangers. Now, we do have a Jacob deGrom update on the deGrom scale. And the update is that Jacob deGrom threw a bullpen. He threw off a mound, threw 25 pitches on Friday, and he said he feels like he has turned a corner. He's going to throw another bullpen today on Monday, and it's looking like things are turning up for Jacob deGrom. That is definitely exciting news for him and for Rangers fans, and I am updating the deGrom scale. We are going to deGrom. Oh, wait, here we go. Oh, I updated it the wrong way. Okay, yeah, we are at, excuse me 1 second. We are at deGrom 4. We are lowering ourselves on the deGrom preparedness scale, thankfully. Things are getting better. We are less worried. We are in a good place mentally, and Jacob deGrom is coming back, and his replacement in the Rangers rotation has been Dane Dunning, who has been absolutely incredible for the Rangers. Things are looking up for Jacob deGrom. There's no immediate update. I'm still anticipating sometime early in June is when he actually gets back on the hill for the Rangers in a major league game. But again, the Rangers haven't needed him. They haven't needed their best players, which is just the most insane thing to say, that the Rangers are still on top of the division towards the end of May. If they hold on to a division lead heading into June and Jacob deGrom still isn't back, and the Rangers will have missed like 5-6 weeks, I think it's just 5 weeks for Corey Seager, and they are still holding a division lead in the AL West with the Astros still existing, that is a huge feat for the Rangers, and it's why their playoff odds are so high. I mean, even if they end up losing this division, which I still think they probably do, it's more likely that they don't win this division that they do, even with the injuries that the Astros have sustained. They are just such a good team, and the Rangers are still, they have some bullpen struggles that need to be ironed out. I mean, the starting rotation has been absolutely nails. The offense has been absolutely nails, and like I said, the best offense in all of baseball, but it's just something about the Astros feels inevitable, like Thanos. It's very upsetting, but it doesn't matter. Like I said, it does not matter if the Rangers win this division. All that matters is if they make it to the playoffs, because the starting rotation is incredibly deep. 1 through 6, they can throw guys out there that have been very, very effective. They have kept them in games. There have been very few, if any, games where the Rangers starting pitchers have just completely pitched them out of it. I think there was a couple of games from Andrew Heaney where it's like, all right, the Rangers just are not in it. They have no chance in this one because the starting pitching was so bad. And remember how many games the Rangers had like that last year with guys like Glenn Otto in the rotation who, did a good job of being forced in there, but should not have been forced in there to start so many games. I mean, think of 2021 with how many starts from Mike Foltynewicz and Jordan Lyles. No offense to Jordan Lyles. And Mike Foltynewicz was the guy who the Rangers kept on the roster so that they could DFA Adolis Garcia at the beginning of the season. What a wild move that looks like now in context, in hindsight, I should say. But still, this starting rotation is incredibly deep. They stack up toe-to-toe 1, 2, and I'd say 3 pretty well with just about anybody in all of baseball. We thought, oh, well, the Mets rotation is going to be by far the best in all of baseball because look how deep they are. And they have, Justin Verlander, and they have Max Scherzer, and they have Cody Senga as their number 3, and wow, they're going to go toe-to-toe with anybody. And, well, Verlander did have a really nice start on Sunday Night Baseball last night. He is still old and still not pitching quite as effectively as Jake deGrom when he's on the hill. Same with Max Scherzer, who has been injured and was suspended for sticky stuff in a really weird situation. He has also not been as effective, and neither of those guys have been effective as Nathan Eovaldi. Nathan Eovaldi has been absolutely nails. He's been one of the top 3 pitchers in the American League, I'd say, behind Garrett Cole, maybe behind Framber Valdez. I don't know, it depends on how you're feeling about certain guys, but he is the Rangers' number 2. He is not as good as Jacob deGrom when deGrom is on the hill. So the Rangers just need to keep those guys healthy, get to a playoff series where maybe their offense can just completely go toe-to-toe with everybody and blow some games wide open. And when you have starting pitching that can pitch with the lead, I mean, it's not just having good starting pitching, but when the offense opens up a can of whoop-you-know-what on the other opposing starting pitcher, which the Rangers have done multiple times. We saw them do it to the Phillies, 2 aces to start the season. We saw them do it to Kyle Freeland, while not technically an ace, is a really, really good starting pitcher, and having an ERA below 4 when you pitch at Coors as your home field is a very, very impressive feat that I don't think that we appreciate nearly enough. But they can do this to any starter. They can do this to any bullpen. They can do this at any time. I mean, they knocked around Spencer Strider earlier last week. They can do this to literally anybody. And you spot these starters, 3, 4, 5 runs. You spot Jacob deGrom 1 run, it feels like, all right, this is game over. Just keep going, just keep piling on, and eventually the Rangers will get there. But this is a team that is loaded. It is starting to get respect from around the league because it is so incredibly deep. I am just so in awe of this offense. I thought that it was going to be deeper than people expected, but the success of Leody Taveras in the month of May, I think, has really kind of turned things around. Jonah Heim, it feels like he has hit a little bit of a wall as of late, but having the 9-hole hitter, the guy who is basically just the last guy in the lineup, just there for defense. In the month of May, Leody Taveras has been absolutely outstanding. In 17 games, he is hitting .377 with an on-base of .435, slugging .492, a .927 OPS for a guy who a lot of people early on were trying to say, no, just cut this guy. Just pull Evan Carter up. Just call Evan Carter up right now. He needs to be playing center field for the Rangers every day. And I said, hold your horses. Hold your horses. He's still getting out of the gates a little slow in April, hit just .204 and a .586 OPS in 16 games in April because he was still coming back from that oblique injury. It takes a little while to get readjusted. He had some good games that he strung together when he was starting to play more every day. And then in the month of May, he has absolutely exploded for the Rangers, having him hitting 9th as your defensive center field specialist, where he's still playing that elite center field defense. And the whole thing with Leody Taveras was that we always knew that he was going to be elite defensively in center field. Having an elite defensive center fielder is a very undervalued thing. Having a guy who is in the top 5% of sprint speed and the top 5% of arm strength is not something you see very often. It's something that the Rangers saw, I think, around Leonys Martin was kind of around that, having an elite arm in center field and a guy who can make great routes and track down balls. And if you've got guys who are more fly ball pitchers, that definitely helps quite a bit. And you can put Adolis Garcia in right field where he belongs, and whoever you put in left field is probably fine. And you don't have to worry about Robbie Grossman running around in right field and trying to make those throws. And eventually, if Zeke Duran is playing more in left field and he is inexperienced, you can kind of lean on those two guys in right and center field to cover more ground and give you that defensive value. But the offense with Leody was always the cherry on top. I mean, there were some projections that had him, as a guy who would hit like 280 with 15, 20 home runs. And I thought that's probably pretty aggressive, but he's always been a guy who controlled the strike zone pretty well. He is going back to walking at a decent rate like we saw him in the minors at times, like we always expected him to. He's having quality at bats, and there was so little pressure on him to do anything offensively that when he does, it's like no eyes are on him. It's like, oh, look Leody. Here he comes in this game with a 3 RBI day, multiple hits, including a double, his 8th of the season. Just like, oh, here's Leody doing some big stuff at the bottom of the order, just piling on in a game where the Rangers didn't really need to, but you know what? They always need to. When you can get this kind of production out of your 9-hole hitter, it really sets things up and kind of shows you, like I said, talking about him getting on base for the guys in the top of the order to have some chances with runners on or runners in scoring position. That is hugely, hugely huge for the Rangers offense. And I think he is a hugely underrated part of why this offense has been the best in all of baseball. That's going to do it for today's show. Back tomorrow to talk about hopefully a Rangers win, another Dane Dunning start, and another update on Jacob deGrom after his bullpen on Monday. That'll do it for today's show, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy first place Texas Rangers baseball.